The store was minutes away from closing when the new cashier, Alina, scanned the last few items with a tired but hopeful smile. It was her first week on the job, and she was trying hard to stay invisible, to blend in, to avoid trouble. But trouble found her anyway. 3 boys from the neighborhood walked in with loud voices and careless attitudes, acting like they owned the place. They circled the small shop, knocking things off shelves, whispering just loud enough for Alina to hear. She kept her eyes down, reminding herself to stay calm. But their teasing grew sharper, pushing her patience and confidence. What they didn't know was that Alina wasn't as alone as she looked. Her brother, known quietly around the block, had warned her that some people might test her. She had promised she would handle it, that she didn't want him getting involved. Still, as the boys leaned over the counter, blocking her path to the exit, she felt her heartbeat rise. One of them smirked, saying something meant to scare her. But Alina stood a little straighter. Outside, a familiar engine rumbled to a stop. She froze. The boys didn't notice, and that's where everything began to shift. The low hum of the engine outside sent a chill through Alina, not because she feared her brother, but because she knew what his presence meant. He never came to the store unless something felt off. She tried to stay focused, telling herself the boys would leave soon, but their voices kept getting bolder. They weren't dangerous, just the type who liked to push limits when no one was watching. Still, they didn't realize whose block they were talking on, or who quietly kept peace in the area. Alina had moved back to the neighborhood only a month ago, hoping for a fresh start. Her brother had changed over the years, keeping his circle small and staying out of trouble, but people still respected him. Some feared him too, though he never wanted that for her. He wanted her to work, study, and stay far away from the tension that lingered in certain corners of the city. Inside the store, the air grew heavier. One boy tapped the counter with impatient fingers, like he was testing how far he could go before she reacted. Alina glanced at the door, wondering if her brother would walk in or wait outside. Either way, something was already in motion, and none of them knew what was coming next. The store door chimed softly, but no one walked in. It was just the wind pushing against the loose frame, yet the sound made all of them glance over for a split second. Alina's heart thudded harder. She knew her brother was watching from somewhere outside, and she didn't want things to escalate. The boys, unaware of the growing tension, kept drifting between the aisles, whispering to each other like they were planning something clever. They weren't dangerous, just reckless kids who liked attention more than trouble, but they had stepped onto the wrong block to play games. Alina tried to steady her breath, reminding herself why she came back. After their mother got sick, she returned home to help, taking the cashier job to cover bills while her brother worked late nights. She hoped the quiet routines would bring some peace, but the neighborhood always had its own rhythm, its own stories, and tonight, she was caught in the middle of one. Outside, she noticed a shadow move past the window, slow, steady, too familiar. One boy finally sensed something was off and glanced toward the glass, his smirk fading just a little. The others didn't catch it, but Alina did. It was the first crack in their confidence, yet no one said a word. The silence between their breaths grew sharper, like the moment just before a storm breaks, leaving everyone waiting for the next sound that might change everything. The boys' laughter had faded, replaced by a low, uneasy tension that settled over the store like smoke. Alina kept her hands on the counter, trembling slightly, though she forced herself to appear calm. She could feel the shift the way the air seemed heavier, like everyone was holding their breath, waiting for something to happen. Outside, the shadow moved closer to the glass. The engine's rumble growing louder, blending with the distant hum of the streetlights. One of the boys leaned in, trying to intimidate her with a grin that no longer reached his eyes. "What's the matter?" "Scared," he taunted, but his voice cracked. Alina met his gaze steadily, refusing to show the fear that bubbled inside. She knew that one wrong move could tip the balance, and the boys had no idea what kind of family they had stumbled into. The door rattled slightly, as if pushed by an unseen force. The other 2 boys froze, finally noticing the movement outside the window. Their smirks disappeared, replaced with suspicion and a flicker of fear. Alina's pulse raced as she realized the moment they had laughed off as a joke could spiral into something far bigger. Her brother's presence was no longer just a shadow in the street. He was closer now, and the boys could sense it. Tension coiled in the room, ready to snap, leaving everyone on edge, waiting for the first spark that would set everything in motion. Before anyone could react, the store's back door creaked open slightly, catching Alina off guard. She turned quickly, expecting maybe a stray wind or a delivery, but it wasn't that simple. From the shadows, another figure stepped in, someone she didn't recognize, tall and moving with a quiet confidence that made her heart skip. The boys froze, exchanging nervous glances, their earlier bravado melting in an instant. "Who's that?" one of them whispered, his voice trembling, but no one answered. Alina felt a cold shiver run down her spine. The new figure didn't speak, didn't even move much, just stood there, scanning the room like a predator evaluating its territory. Suddenly, she realized that the tension outside wasn't the only threat. The situation inside had just become far more dangerous. Her brother's engine revved outside, louder now, echoing down the empty street. It was a warning, a reminder that backup was near, but Alina couldn't let herself panic. The boys were trapped in their own fear, unsure which direction to turn. And the stranger in the back? That presence added a layer of unpredictability that none of them were ready for. Every second stretched, thick with suspense. Alina's mind raced. What had started as a simple night shift now teetered on the edge of chaos, and the next move could change everything. The boys' panic had reached its peak. They backed toward the front counter, eyes darting between Alina's mysterious figure in the back and the looming shadow outside. Alina's brother finally stepped through the door, tall and imposing, but calm. His presence alone made the boys freeze. He didn't raise his voice or make a move. He simply stood there, letting the tension do the work. The stranger in the back stepped forward, and Alina's eyes widened in shock. It was someone she recognized from her past, a former friend she hadn't seen in years. Someone with a reputation almost as feared as her brothers. The boys realized too late that the chaos they'd tried to cause had trapped them between two forces they couldn't handle. "What did I tell you about respect?" Her brother's voice was quiet but carried a weight that filled the room. The boy stammered, trying to apologize, to explain, but no words came out right. Alina felt a strange relief wash over her. The threat that had seemed so terrifying moments ago was crumbling under the presence of family and unexpected allies. Just as she thought it was over, the stranger smiled faintly, turning to Alina. "You've changed," they said, almost casually, and then reached into their jacket, not for a weapon, but for a small envelope. Alina took it, confused, as the boys hurried out without another word. Inside, a note simply read, "Not everything is as it seems." The night ended with the immediate danger gone, but a new mystery now lingered, one that promised that her life and the block was far from quiet. Alina held the envelope in her hands, her fingers trembling slightly. The store was quiet now, the boys gone, and the weight of the night slowly lifting. Her brother gave her a small, reassuring nod, letting her know she had handled herself well. She realized that fear wasn't just about the people who tried to intimidate her. It was about underestimating her own strength and the support around her. The stranger lingered for a moment, their eyes softening. "You're ready for more than you think," they said, before disappearing into the night, leaving Alina with more questions than answers. She smiled faintly, feeling a mix of relief and curiosity. Life on the block had always been unpredictable, but she now understood that she wasn't powerless. Her family, her history, and even her courage could turn the tables when it mattered most. The boys would think twice before ever testing her again, and Alina knew she had earned a new kind of respect, quietly but firmly. Closing the register, she took a deep breath, stepping out into the cool night air, knowing that whatever came next, she could face it. The night had been a lesson in courage, family, and the hidden strength people carry, often without realizing it. And for Alina, it was just the beginning.